The night my yacht went under looked like gold melting into the sea. The sunset was perfect if you ignored the sound of $15 million tearing itself apart beneath the waves. Pieces of teak wood, silk curtains, champagne bottles, all drifting across the marina like confetti from someone else's victory. And at the end of the dock stood her, Karen Whitfield, the HOA president, in her pastel blazer, smiling like she'd just saved the neighborhood from me. "Your yacht violates community standards," she said. "It's too big. You'll thank us later." She thought she'd sunk my pride. What she didn't know was she'd just destroyed a yacht that sat on my dock, in my marina. I used to think the sea was the one place that didn't judge you. After 20 years designing naval systems, I'd retired to Florida, dreaming of quiet mornings and salt air. My new home was at Silver Point Marina, a postcard, perfect waterfront filled with retirees, fishing rods, and polite small talk. The Odyssey was my masterpiece. 75 feet of hand, polished steel and teak, not a toy, but a second chance. When I first docked her, I thought I'd finally found peace. Then I met Karen. Karen was in her mid-50s, tan lines shaped like arrogance, perfume strong enough to choke a pelican. She was the self-appointed guardian of community aesthetics. Within minutes of my arrival, she appeared with her clipboard like some suburban angel of death. "Lovely boat," she said, smiling over her sunglasses. "Just a shame it's enormous." I chuckled. 75 feet of craftsmanship, I replied. "Registered, licensed, insured, and perfectly legal." She frowned like I'd insulted her lawn gnomes. That was the first time she said the word balance. Apparently, balance meant everything had to fit inside the box she drew around it. The letters started showing up 2 days later. Violation number 01. Obstructing scenic view of Lot 17. Violation number 02. Noise disturbance from generator at 6:42 p.m. Violation 03. Visual disharmony. Vessel exceeds acceptable aesthetic parameters. I read them with my morning coffee and laughed. But laughter turns sour fast when you realize the person harassing you has power, or at least, believes she does. I tried being civil. I went to an HOA meeting, their little courtroom of folding chairs and stale pastries. Karen ran it like a general, voice sugary but sharp. When she brought up Agenda Item 3, the yacht issue, the crowd turned to look at me. "Mr. Harris," she said, "your vessel is overwhelming. It casts shadows, affects resale values, and disrupts the visual harmony of our docks. We kindly request its removal." I smiled and said, "Karen, I've read your bylaws. There's no limit on vessel size, and I've got every permit the county requires." She leaned back, gave that smirk people wear when they're already planning your funeral. "We'll see about that." From that day, I wasn't a neighbor. I was an intruder. Inspectors randomly appeared every week. HOA members with measuring tapes crawled around my dock like ants. One morning, I found a bright orange sticker slapped across my gangway. "Immediate action required." I peeled it off and stuck it to my fridge like a trophy. But her campaign didn't stop at paper. Karen started spreading rumors that my yacht leaked fuel, scared off wildlife, and was sinking property values. Soon, people I'd waved to for months looked away when I passed. Someone left a note on my truck windshield. "Move your ship before we make you." That night, my power cut out. Not just my cabin lights, everything. Refrigerators, security cameras, navigation feed, all dead. The next morning, I confronted her. She was sitting on her porch, sipping iced tea like a villain from a soap opera. "Karen, my power line was severed," I said. She didn't even look up. "We had to disconnect non-compliant vessels. Community policy." I clenched my jaw. "You mean your policy?" She smiled sweetly. "Same thing, really." I walked away before I said something I'd regret. Anger's like currency. Spend it too soon, and you end up broke. So instead, I documented everything. Photos, letters, timestamps. I even labeled a notebook HOA evidence. I knew I'd need it. Weeks later, I received a new letter, a freshly minted amendment. Effective immediately, no watercraft exceeding 5 feet allowed in Silver Point Marina. 10 days to comply or face removal. They'd literally rewritten the rules to target me. I read the letter under the dock lights and almost admired her audacity. Almost. So I did what engineers do best. I checked the fine print. And that's when I found it. The HOA didn't actually own the marina. They managed the land, the clubhouse, the gardens, but the docks were leased from a holding company called Silver Point Harbor Holdings, a name I recognized from my old investment portfolio. I checked the records. Turns out, that company was mine, or rather, my trust's, which meant I owned the water she was trying to rule. I didn't tell anyone. I just waited, because silence makes tyrants nervous. 3 weeks later, she struck again. A massive red sign hammered next to my dock. All non-compliant vessels must vacate within 72 hours. Her signature at the bottom, elegant cursive like a queen's decree. I sipped my coffee, watching her parade around with her clipboard army. They strutted like Coast Guard recruits, measuring hulls and scribbling notes. When I called the HOA office, pretending to be polite, she answered herself. "Karen speaking?" "Hi, Karen," I said. "Quick question. Where exactly do your community statutes apply?" She gave a short, patronizing laugh. "Michael, the community has spoken. If you don't comply, we'll handle it." "Handle it?" I repeated. "Got it. Mind if I record this call?" Click. She hung up. That night, I replaced my security feeds with hidden cameras, one under the dock, one near the gangway, one facing the parking lot. Years of naval work had taught me to think like a saboteur. The next morning, 2 power cables were cut clean through. She was escalating. So I went to the HOA office. Karen sat behind her desk like she owned the world. "You've cut power to private property," I said. "That's a felony." She smiled. "We're enforcing community safety standards." "Safety?" I asked. "Pulling live wires in the rain is your idea of safety?" She leaned forward, eyes cold. "You're not welcome here." "Michael, the board voted unanimously. Your yacht must go." Must. I met her stare. "Funny," I said. "I checked the property deeds. You don't own this marina." Her face twitched. Just a flicker. "The HOA governs all community areas," she snapped. "No," I said quietly. "You manage them. You've been playing queen on land you don't own." She blinked. "We'll see what the county says." 48 hours later, the county did show up. 2 inspectors, a fire marshal, and an environmental officer, all following anonymous complaints. Of course, they found nothing. But Karen wasn't after proof. She was after exhaustion. She wanted to wear me down until I'd beg for peace. For a while, it worked. One night, I sat in my dark cabin staring at the dead reflection of my yacht in the water, wondering if she'd won. Maybe I was the problem, the outsider with too much pride and too little patience. Maybe selling the slip and moving somewhere quieter was the smart thing. I'd spent my life solving problems, not fighting small, town tyrants. And yet, something in me refused to yield. I didn't survive 20 years in engineering warfare to lose to a woman with a clipboard. Then the storm came. It rolled in fast from the Gulf. Wind slicing sideways, waves slamming against the dock. My phone buzzed, motion detected. I opened the feed and froze. Men in reflective vests were on my yacht, looping steel cables around the hull. A tugboat idled nearby, engine growling. And there she was, in a pink raincoat, umbrella in hand, shouting over the wind, "Get it off my dock!" I ran. By the time I reached the pier, rain was hitting like bullets. "Stop!" I yelled. "That's private property!" Karen turned, hair plastered to her face, eyes wild. "Not anymore. You had your chance to comply." The tugboat's horn blared. The cable went taut. The Odyssey groaned, metal against metal, a sound that cut straight through your bones. "You'll tear the hull!" I shouted. One of the workers hesitated. "Ma'am, maybe we should—" "Do it!" she screamed. "HOA authority overrides this nonsense." The next moment was pure chaos. The cable snapped, sparks flew, and the yacht slammed against the dock. The starboard cleat ripped free, tearing half the railing with it. Water surged through the engine bay. I could only watch, filming through the rain, as the Odyssey tilted, then sank, slow, almost graceful, swallowed whole by the sea. Karen stood there, chest heaving, mascara streaked, shouting over the storm. "You see? This is what happens when you defy the HOA." I didn't answer. I just walked past her, dripping wet, phone still recording, and said quietly, "Hope your clipboard's waterproof. You'll need it in court." The next morning, she was on TV giving interviews, pretending it had been a safety operation. The HOA even released a fake letter claiming county authorization. Only problem? It was printed on HOA letterhead. Amateur move. I called my lawyer, my insurer, and the FBI's property crimes unit. Then I sat back and waited. Within a week, investigators were crawling all over the Marina. They found cut cables, falsified invoices, and a tugboat receipt paid from an HOA account through a personal transfer signed by Karen Whitfield. Fraud, property destruction, wire misappropriation. The trifecta of stupidity. My attorney, a woman named Elaine Porter, looked at the evidence and whistled. "She's cooked," she said. "What do you want to do?" "Nothing," I told her. "Not yet. Let her think she won. The higher she climbs, the harder she'll fall." And fall she did. Karen threw a community brunch to celebrate the restoration of harmony. I showed up, calm as a ghost, and handed her a single envelope, a trespass notice from Silver Point Harbor Holdings. Effective immediately, the HOA and its officers were banned from all marina operations. "You can't issue this," she gasped. "I can," I said, smiling faintly. "I own the marina." The room went silent. The sound of her clipboard hitting the table was almost musical. From that moment, her empire cracked. Residents stopped greeting her. Board members resigned quietly. The same people who once worshipped her authority now crossed the street when she passed. But I wasn't finished. Elaine dug deeper. Karen had been funneling HOA funds into personal accounts for years. Vacations, spa days, even a Lexus lease labeled community transport. When the subpoenas landed, she panicked. The trial came 6 months later. She arrived in lavender, pearls shining, chin high, like she still believed she could talk her way out of anything. The courtroom watched as the video played, her voice echoing through the storm. "Push it off the dock." The judge's pen stopped mid-air. Then came the financial records, the emails, the fake invoices. By the end, her lawyer was begging for a settlement. The verdict? Guilty. HOA liable for $22 million in damages. Karen facing up to 5 years for fraud and property destruction. When the gavel hit, she didn't move, just sat there, the queen of nothing, staring at the floor. Outside the courthouse, reporters crowded me. "Any comment, Mr. Harris?" one asked. I smiled faintly. "They said my yacht was too big," I said. Turns out their ego was bigger. Months passed. The HOA dissolved. The signs vanished. The Marina grew quiet again. I rebuilt what she destroyed, renamed it Odyssey Harbor, and turned half the slips into a training program for veterans, paid for entirely by the restitution money. One morning, I got the news Karen had been sentenced. 25 years. No parole. That evening, I stood on the rebuilt dock, watching the sunset melt into the water. The same way it had that night. Except this time, there was no sinking, no shouting, no storm, just the calm hum of the sea and the faint reflection of a new yacht being prepared for launch. You can try to drown someone's peace, but the truth always floats back up.